What is up, everybody? Tuesday night hangout. Better late than never, but that's always me. So appreciate you guys being here. Give it a like if you haven't already. Also, really appreciate that. Shout out to those that are here so far. Frank from Philly, Kramer. How's it going? Jordan, I saw the comment. Yes, thank you. But yes, they're good. So, Fanny, what's going on? Smart guy. Anybody else? Let me know where you're listening from. I'll give you a shout out as always. How you doing on Tuesday night? How are we feeling still? I know it's been a long time, and it just continues to be the topic of conversation. But Haason Reddick, you know, I mean, the moving on from him, the Howie decision, was it, I don't even know if you could say, was it a good move, but was it like an okay move? That I feel like that's where I'm at right now. It's like to try to come up with reasonings for somehow, you know, it'll work itself out. We'll be okay. And obviously, title of the show tonight is, you know, how will they replace the production? So we're going to get into that. How are they going to replace the production for Haason Reddick? Couple different areas maybe that we could look into. Free agency possibilities, Nolan Smith, Bryce Huff, ramifications for a Justin Simmons signing. Is that a possibility? There's also another safety update too, so we can get into that as well. But there's a lot with draft coverage, everything else. Obviously, the video that I dropped was talking about a couple pass rushers too. It feels like we've shifted a little bit in terms of what we might be targeting or could be going after for 22. I don't even think it's 22, quite honestly. So I'm curious to get people's take as well. But we'll see. Again, shout out to everybody. Josh B. Love the name as always. Philly Bird Steppa. Tristan, Ridge King. How confident am I in Huff? I'm fairly confident. I really am. This year, though, and Thomas and I will have the Wednesday link tomorrow, so I'm sure we'll kind of debate this a little bit. I don't know if I'm as confident in Bryce Huff for the first year. And so that's the question that I have of like, and I should like preface it. I'm not saying that I don't think that he can have a solid season. I'm just saying like next year between Haason Reddick and the production of Bryce Huff, I don't think it's that crazy to say that Reddick will, you know, a little bit more productive, that he could be. Like, he's established. He's done it for a while. It's 4 straight seasons of 10-plus sacks. Now, over the course of 3 years, I very likely and willingly would say that Bryce Huff will probably have better production over the course of the next 3 years. But again, does it make you better? And I know that all the talk shows and basically everywhere else has had the same topic of conversation because, you know, we have to. There's not a whole lot as or near as much to talk about. But does it make you better today? To lose Haason Reddick, I mean, it's kind of a given, but it's your best defensive player. But to lose Haason Reddick, you're going with Bryce Huff. I would argue no. Now, we can still be fine because, again, we'll get into possibilities, who you might be able to look at signing. Nolan Smith is going to be a lot better. I've said it, I don't know, it's just like unending now that I've said it so many times. And I will continue to say that. Like, I will die on that hill. Nolan Smith will be better. He will be good. There is a lot of potential. I can't tell on some comments if they're trolling or if there's some sarcasm, but I've gotten a number of comments of saying Nolan Smith is a bust. And I'm sorry, but for a player who averaged 11 snaps per game last season, that's not enough of a sample size to say the dude is a bust. Like, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's wait, see what he can do. He's going to get more playing time. He's got to step up. He's got to step up in a big way. He doesn't need to be your number 1 option. He doesn't need to be your number 2 option in pass rush. Doesn't necessarily need to be your number 3 even. But like if he's 4 or 5, you know, getting a lot more significant snaps, I don't know what you'd say, like 30, 35 snaps a game instead of 11. Yeah, go out there. Make a difference. And I think he will. Ernie, what's up? IBH. How's it going? I think that's what it is. Sao Tome, and I think I said that. I may not have said that correctly, but appreciate you tuning in. John Rodriguez, we need a corner. Yeah, we do. I'm not giving up on that, but it has changed my mindset a little bit the more that I've thought about who they might go first round. David Ertz, watching Toronto, Canada. There you go. Appreciate you tuning in, Dave. Who the F lives in Wyoming? Who would you rather have on your team, Nick Bosa or Haason Reddick? It's a good question. Long term, I will say Nick Bosa. I don't really care for his, I don't know, personality, questioning at times if he's in it or everything. But in the long run, I think that it's should probably be a no-brainer, even though there's bias and saying like he's a Niner and all that. But long run, Bosa. For a single season for this year, still probably go Reddick. He just shows up big. Now, again, yes, no one showed up big in the last 6 or 7 games. But naturally, he does. Normally, with a decent defensive coordinator who knows what he's doing, putting him in spots to win, Haason Reddick shows up. Michael Jr., what's up? Listening in North Carolina. There you go. Yeah, Dan Quan asked about Bosa. Jeremy Lutz, just got done with your video. Any moves you left in free agency, you think? I do. I don't know that they're going to be major. I hope that they are. And I would put Isaiah Simmons. I don't know about you guys. Let me know in the comments too. I'll try to get to as many as possible. But I would put Isaiah Simmons up in the category of a major signing. I mean, that dude's a stud. He can be. I know last year was 4.5 sacks. Giants using him in a weird way. He had kind of that hybrid linebacker, safety, moving all around, weird formations, Wink Martindale and all this other stuff. If he gets in the right spot, the athleticism is undeniable. Like, the dude is unreal. Former first-round pick number 8, 4'3", 40, 6'4", 240 pounds? Yeah, that screams a Vic Fangio type of player. If Vic Fangio has his hands on Isaiah Simmons and can put him in the right spots, well, that sounded weird, but like if he can put him in the right spots and utilize it, then I'd say yes, go after, see what he wants. He's still out there. Spot Track had it at 16, I think, 16.3 million, I believe, is what I saw last. Don't know if that's realistic, but it's worth a look. I don't know. Maybe you get both Simmons. You get Isaiah Simmons and Justin Simmons. There still is the cap space, yet I know Howie's saying they're getting younger, so maybe Justin Simmons is not likely. I still think that's a good move you need to make. You should consider. But yeah, when we're talking about pass rusher, Isaiah Simmons is not going to, and I don't think that we're necessarily saying, hey, we roll it out there and you just completely make up for Haason Reddick's production. Bryce Huff, I will say, I do believe in Bryce Huff. I think he will get close. I just don't know that he's going to fully get you there. So if you can get a little bit of help, like I was talking about, Nolan Smith, you're going to have Josh Sweat, which hopefully ups his production, or he was there with pressures. So maybe in a different scheme, again, Fangio being able to coach other players, he'll have better numbers. So it'll be like, all right, hey, you know what? He's actually getting sacks instead of just pressures. BG, 1 year older. I think he could be okay. You're going to have to limit his snap usage. Nolan's got to be the guy. He's got to make a big impact. And Julian Okwara, possibility. Zach Baun, I like the potential. But we're literally sitting here going, it's all potential. And, that's a little bit of a scary position to be in. So I'm not trying to, knock it or be completely pessimistic here. I just think you have to make another move. Will it be a major one, though? I don't know. Feels like with the way that Howie is, it might not be. Although it seems a lot more realistic now. It already felt this way, but it seems a lot more realistic that the possibility that Howie Roseman could consider something very early. I don't know first round, because you look at this draft, there's not a lot of edge rushers that you say, yeah, go get him in the first round. Certainly not at 22. By the time you get to 22, you might as well just trade back or wait till day 2 and go get your pass rusher. But yeah, you're going to need, in my opinion, you need one more guy. Hopefully it's a bigger acquisition or drafting someone. But you need somebody else. John Rodriguez believes in Huff. That's good. I believe in him. Again, I want to preface that. I do believe in him. I'm just not at the level of saying it's a 1-for-1 trade of sorts. Like he's right there for the first year. It's not a 1-of-1 trade to me. I think he'll be a stud. Andrew Nolan Smith can't be worse, I guess. Yeah. Saquon Barkley. See, this is where I'm at. And I know this is not the majority. I will say that. Dude's played 1 year talking about Nolan Smith, and he says he's a bust with a question mark. Eagles fans, we have to be better. The majority of people are not saying that. So again, in the comments section, it's It's a small margin, but there are a few people that throw it out there. And I'm like, what the heck are we talking about? Nolan's 1 year in and basically didn't even get to play hardly. I mean, 11 snaps? Jordan, how's it going? C24, what's up? 50 Shades of Trey, excited to see year 2 of Nolan. I am too. Dose Bros, do you like pie? I guess. I don't know. What kind of question is that? Yes, I mean. Frank from Philly. What's up, Frank? Thoughts on extending Smith's contract? Taking a long time, isn't it? Kind of, but not really in my mind. I'll start questioning it if it's not done here in like, a week or 2 weeks, something like that. I can't imagine that Howie, I know that he can multitask and he's got his, multiple irons in the fire, so to speak, but it felt like, hey, get this Haason Reddick situation figured out. Whether you're going to retain him, you're going to extend, you're going to work out some sort of contract deal, restructuring, who knows? But you don't go ahead and, spend the money or figure out what that looks like for Devontae until you get that done. Now that he has, yes, this should be full bore, get Devontae done. Granted, he moved forward with Reed Blankenship, and kudos to Reed because, he got some more money. I don't know if that signifies that you're going to have, or I guess couldn't have another safety. I saw some comments too saying, oh, Reed got the deal done. Justin Simmons is dead. Maybe it's slightly less likely, but I don't know if it totally signifies it. Let's see. Tyler saying, I'm trying to look back at 2022 roster. Wasn't our edge guys just Hasson, Sweat, BG, and then Quinn at the deadline? We could argue our edge depth's better than 2022. Yeah. It's fair. Also saying depends on how Huff and Nolan can be. I'm right there with you. Liam feels like a trade's coming. Which trade? Who is it? Andre Dream scenarios, both Simmons. Yes. Fanny says, love hanging out with you and the cool kids. What are you doing with Isaiah Rodgers? Who knows? I hope that he should be your kick returner. He commented on Twitter. He responded basically to a question of who will the Eagles kick returner be. And basically, he said it's him. So he wants to do it. And with as electric as he is, he should be your kicker. I don't see why he shouldn't be. Be awesome to have him on the show too. He retweeted one of my tweets like referencing the show. And so I reached out to him. I haven't gotten a response yet, but we'll see. Maybe he wants to come on. That'd be awesome. If out of some random luck somebody's watching that does know Isaiah, shoot him a message. Ask him to come on the show. Dylan, what's up, man? All I'm saying is we better get a cornerback in the draft. Yeah. I am with you. We should get a cornerback. I'm trying to prepare myself that it may not be in the first round as much as I would like that. Although, Cooper DeJean, he's got his pro day coming up. He's a corner that Philly has had or scheduled for a top 30 visit. So there's some interest there. Yeah, it says Bruce says Cooper DeJean, round 1, and then linebacker round 2. It's not terrible. I don't hate it. If the linebacker is Edgerrin Cooper also, then I really don't hate it. That's kind of the consistent one that's been thrown out there. There you go. I like that. Be more careful. We were on the same page for a lot of the mock draft on Friday night too, but we're on the same page here as well. Says, I know people threw the playoff game out of their minds, but remember, Nolan played good in that game. Could be a prelude. Absolutely. I'm buying. Y'all know that I'm going to buy into the hype, especially with Nolan. But still, I'm buying into it. Howie said he had a couple, good plays, or he made some contributions, even with the small sample size. eventually you just got to buy into it. And right, wrong, or different, that's where Howie's chosen to go. So that is where it's where their priority is. Does that end up coming back to bite you? And that's the question. I don't know. It was hard, I'm not gonna lie, watching the press conference, Reddick talking to the media and everything, that he was saying things that were like, oh yeah, I'm excited and all this other stuff, but the body language wasn't totally there. So I feel like he's, much like us too. It's got to be disappointing. You're leaving Philly. You probably wanted to figure something out, work it out. It's a business. I mean, he knows that, but it was just unfortunate. All right, I'm just seeing your comment, 50 Shades. Yeah, hit him up. Get him on here if he wants to. That'd be great. Christopher, am I going to do a mock draft tonight? I don't know. We'll see. I wasn't planning on it, but depending on where this thing goes, we may jump in there for a real quick one. Give Ringo another shot. I think they will. Fanny asking if they're ever going to reinstate him. I would also hope so and think that they will on that notion. They haven't yet, but Jeffrey Lurie said he's very hopeful, or he thinks it's going to happen very soon. Howie Roseman kind of said the same thing. I can't imagine. I just don't. I don't know why. And again, I don't know the full story. Not really. I'm sure anyone has all the details. But this is a dude that, yes, he gambled and he broke the policy and everything else, but there are a lot of players that did. And if we remember, like Calvin Ridley had the 1-year suspension, then he came back, and it just seems like, okay, you know what? You had him sit out for a season. He served the suspension, and eventually he's going to get back. But it is weird, the timing. And maybe someone else knows like the reasoning. If you do, let me know, because I'm not 100% sure of why it's taking so long. But I'm not at the level of like, I don't know, super concerned or whatnot. I did see, I think there was somebody that maybe tweeted Isaiah Rodgers like after Reddick left, or the announcement of the trade, which was kind of cold, like very quick, but being like, "Hey, bro, number 7's available." And it's kind of like, all right, maybe too soon. Marcus Mendez, Devin White with a change of scenery will be the steal of free agency, hands down. The man has a nose for the ball. I hope so. That'd be great. I do think he's going to be good. Oh, Tyler, I'm just seeing that comment too. Yeah, if I can, I'll just preface it with this. If I can, I'm going to go live Friday Night Hangout. Regardless, if we've gone live for like breaking news or whatever, I will still go. And same for Tuesdays, like trying to as best I can. Again, there's like times where I won't be able to, but at best as I can, we will still go live. Tuesday Night Hangout, Friday Night Hangout. Fridays will be the mock draft night where we'll at least do one of them. So yes, that is the intention. I will say, now that I've mentioned that, this Friday is like 50-50, so it's probably not the best thing because I'm saying, best intention. I don't know 100%. It depends on family schedule, a couple things that we got to get done. So I might hop on there like earlier Friday. It might not be like a Friday night, but like a Friday afternoon or happy hour hangout, whatever you want to call it. Well, we'll see. So, but again, as best I can, we'll do the Friday nights. Peter asking Eagles record next year. I mean, it's early for those types of predictions and questions, but I've said so far, like, I think it'll be like 11 wins. Go to 11-6. That might be conservative. I know some people are saying, "Oh, I get it," because you're being conservative and not one to call ahead of time. But some changes. If we have a little bit of a slow start, perhaps, or just trying to adjust to some different things. Feels like 11 is solid, but it's not. I don't want to get overboard and carried away. Just automatic. Oh yeah, we're gonna get 13 wins, 14 wins, something like that. If we hit our stride, we can. I don't think it's impossible. You have potential on the squad, but yeah, as of today, if you're gonna ask me, I'm probably going with 11-6. So that's where we're at. Kevin Vick asked, what do you think they do with the 2 second-round picks? I mean, it's a good question because I've seen so many. Everyone's done a million mock drafts by this point, but it's like I hope that Edgerrin Cooper. That's been the continual. I know most everyone. If you were there on Friday night when we did the mock draft, I think we did both. We did 2 mock drafts. I believe Edgerrin Cooper was taken in both of those drafts in the second round. So that was like a given. It was an automatic. You don't even have to poll the audience. It's hey, there's Edgerrin Cooper. Somehow available at 50. I don't think that's realistic for in real life what's going to happen. But if he's there, you absolutely take him. I feel like it's hey, you probably have to trade up. If you want him and you're going to get Edgerrin Cooper, you probably have to trade up. I don't know if Howie will do that, but that would be my preference. So the 2 second-round picks, I don't know if that means that you couple those together and then you say, hey, we're going to go get our guy. You'd have to wait a long time after you do that, though. I mean, you get your first rounder, let's say you do that, and you trade 2 second-rounders. But possibly, you trade next year's draft, or I guess you could with the third round conditional pick, try to use something there and move up in this year's draft. But it does feel like if you want an Edgerrin Cooper, I mean, it's going to be, like 35, 40, somewhere like that has been the most recent predictions is where Edgerrin Cooper would go. If they stay put, I don't think Edgerrin Cooper is realistic. And then at that point, I would say they probably go guard and edge rusher. Like if I had to give the most realistic prediction of what I expect will happen, I don't love it, but I would say it's probably offensive lineman at 22, or maybe they trade up a little bit, but whatever the first round pick is, offensive line, and then they go guard, edge, or edge guard in the second. But who knows? Yes, I will get to the comments as quickly as possible. Please don't just spam it like crazy. I do see the comments. I'm just trying to scroll through, so I'll get there. Chris Colbert, we could still get quality backup for Lane in the following rounds. It's not worth missing on this round 1 cornerback talent. I'm with you. I just, in my mind, I don't know that that's where Howie's going to go. Love it if he would. But I'm totally with you. The amount of mock drafts, and you do look at this cornerback talent. It's funny because we did that on Friday as well, and we took Cooper to Gene, but then all of a sudden you're like, well, there's other players that we could take. Not that they're at the level of Cooper to Gene, but still, we've got other safeties, other options. I think we even went O-line in one of them, and it's like, yeah, you miss out on potential if you don't grab a corner. Which Tyler's going to hate this because we had an option to take Wiggins, and everybody chose to take Cooper to Gene, and it was at 22. We didn't have to trade up. Peter, bro, you gotta stop with the 5 questions. I will get to the questions, but if you do it again, I'm gonna have to just put you in just a little bit of a timeout. I don't need 7 questions. Just chill, just a little bit. I will get to the questions. Frank deletes one of those. Yeah, I'm gonna get there. Hang on. Dos Bros, who's my favorite quarterback ever? Gosh, that's a good question. Probably Vic, honestly. I mean, I don't know, just vintage Vic. Eagles, obviously, but the ability, the way that he played on Travis, I didn't mean to intentionally miss one. You said I'm skipping your comment. What did you say? But yeah, I would probably go with Vic. Oh, earlier? Yeah, we got to get offensive line first. Lane getting old. I'm not too sure about Juergens in 56. Yeah, I think that he'll go O-line. I'm confident in Juergens. You guys know that. Those that have been with many live streams and videos and everything else. Fly Parks, how are you going to trade up? Not going to keep 2 second-round picks. He will, yeah, like 50 Shades of Trey says. Howie is known to move around the board. He's not staying put. So whether it's a first-round trade up, trade back, use some second-round picks, go get what you want. He is going to move around. I'm questioning, is he going to trade up? Is he going to use draft capital to go get a linebacker? Is he going to do that for an Edgerrin Cooper? I would love for it, but I don't know if that's Howie's MO and he actually spends that on those picks. Frank from Philly, man, our team is looking real serious this year. I feel confident this year in our team 10 times more this year than last. Wow, which I hate talking about. I do hate talking about last year. I don't know if I love the confidence. I don't know if I'm there. Honestly, I was maybe overhyped. If it felt like a lot of us were overhyped last season, could be wrong. Maybe you were, several of y'all were on the fence of saying like, yeah, there's some holes or whatever. I feel like after the Super Bowl, everyone was like, we're all in. We just signed these guys. We got Jalen Carter in the draft. We got Nolan Smith, and we're going back to the Super Bowl. And then even the great start that we had is 10-1, and everyone doing great. I don't know that I was that confident. I like some of the moves. The Reddick one, I'm still questioning. You got to figure out how that production. Maybe it just comes from a Bryce Huff, and he's a stud, keeps up his production. Even he kind of goes from a situational pass rusher to mostly an every down pass rusher. He'll still be rotating, but, more snaps. If he can keep up the level of production, then yeah, maybe we say, hey, it didn't matter. It was a good move. Howie did a great job. He's a genius. Why was there any questioning at all? Like, I'm not on the point of saying, Howie's an idiot or he's lost his mind or anything like that, but still, it's like it's okay to question some moves. That's where I'm at. I'm like, I don't know. I'm reserving judgment here. There's a little bit of anxiety, I should say. Peter, do you think trading Reddick was like ESPN said? Did they say it was I'm assuming I might not have actually seen that. Did they say it was like an A trade? Did they say that for the Eagles too? I might not have seen it, but I don't know if it's an A trade. I get the value for 2026. I mean, a lot of you guys have brought it up, mentioned it on the shows, comments, and everything else too. It totally makes sense. Like, you have value, 2026, be able to utilize that. But still, it's going to be weird. It's going to be hard to see without Reddick. Hopefully they can pick up the slack. Oh, yeah, I'm seeing your comment, Tyler. I like Cooper DeJean, too. I'm just a Wiggins guy. I know, but that's where we were. And I immediately thought of you, too. I was like, hey, where's Tyler? All good. All good. We'll have many more mock drafts. Tristan Zach Zenner was really great playing guard at Michigan, but he did have a massive leg injury, ACL, I think. Yep, he's recovered from, or I guess recovering from that or whatnot. Did have the ACL, I think. It was the knee injury. I think it was the ACL. But yeah, he'd be a good option for guard. There's a couple different. I think my preference would probably be Cooper Beebe, but I've seen Cooper Beebe, Zach Zenner, Christian Mahogany, Christian Haynes, I believe was the other one. There might be one else that I'm forgetting. Roger, I appreciate that. Jason, we're doing good. How are you doing? Hopefully staying blessed. We are very blessed. Weesaur says Drew Brees. Drew Brees is the GOAT. All right. I mean, you have arguments from a lot of different people. Yeah, Jordan says, wait and ask again. Spamming will get you spankings and put you in timeout. Motivational Zone saw Chop has a visit with the Jets. Yeah, he's been several others. Getting a lot of looks, lots of athleticism, potential. A good pass rush win rate, or I guess pressure rate. But I don't know, kind of gone back and forth. Like, Chop is the one guy that if or maybe the main guy, I should say, for like pass rushers, especially on on mock drafts anyway. It feels like his ranking versus where he's getting drafted is the most skewed out of anybody else. From what I've seen, it's like everyone else has a ranking of, like, let's say, I think he's like 44, somewhere in that area, off the top of my head. But he's getting drafted at like 34. Like there's a 10 spot difference. Whereas some guys are like, oh, they're getting drafted about 3 or 4 based on where their ranking is on the big board. He continues to go much earlier. So there's a lot of hype for Chop. Could be great. Again, there's lots of potential, but it's like, can you coach that out? Can he get more refined in his pass rushing moves? He's had a little difficulty, certainly with length and bigger tackles. Naturally, would be in the NFL there. But Eagles like him somewhat, bringing him in, taking a look. Chris says, I'm good on Chop, would rather develop Nolan. I mean, I'm fine with that. Kramer, are the Eagles YouTube channels friendly and communicate with you like Thomas? Not sure if you collaborate with any other channels. Yeah. Heck yeah. It's actually been a while, but I've had, like, Joey Shakes and I've had, I think a couple, if I'm not mistaken. And then Philly 500's been on. It's been a while. We need to have him back on. Went on with Philly Mike. It's really been a while for a lot of them. But yeah, I mean, we've had several different collaborations. Thomas and I's are, just the Wednesday link is naturally every week, and we're going to be doing the draft. But yeah, shout out to everybody else. Robert says trade up. Yeah, the corner from. Yeah, everybody knows who you're talking. University of Toledo. Quinion Mitchell is the guy. That is the corner that I will continue to say. I wouldn't hate it, as Tyler knows. I wouldn't hate it if it's Wiggins, but it's still Quinion Mitchell is the guy for me. Chris, what's up, Josh? Been following the channel for a while now. Love the content and the level-headedness. You don't get that much with our fans. I appreciate that. I try to be as level-headed as I can, so I appreciate that. Every once in a while, I can lose it. Like a few streams during games, I was about to lose my mind, and there was some frustration. But yeah, like as much as I can, we try to remain even keel. The sarcasm helps with that. Like, some people comment and say it's too much and overboard and everything else. So I don't know. I have fun with it. It makes me laugh. Hopefully it makes you guys laugh too, but maybe it does get a little bit overplayed. Oh, William, I forgot about this. Or I didn't necessarily forget about it. We haven't brought it up. Pat Mahomes goes down and Wentz pulled a Foles. That's crazy. Carson Wentz, Andy Reid, backing up Pat Mahomes. Found himself a home. Good for Wentz. I'm not sure that I don't know where I expected him to go, honestly, but I don't know that the Chiefs were the top option or what I had in my mind anyway. So he'll be there. Mark saying Jalen better watch your podcast. We will have the fantasy league, though. That's a good point. Yeah. For those that did not do it last year, you're interested, we will have a fantasy football league much closer to the season. Obviously, we got forever to get there. But, just put it on your calendar, a little reminder. We had 2 leagues of 16 teams, so it gets slim pickings at the end of that. And then, the 2 winners play each other at the end of the season. So we will have that. Fanny says J.C. Latham at right guard. That would be great. I mean, he's got versatility. He could play right guard for a little bit. I think, like we've said multiple times, that he could be right tackle after Lane leaves. Lane had mentioned that too. If it's up to Lane, he's got 2 of them. He's either goes with J.C. Latham or Tyler Guyton. Those are his 2 favorite picks, at least from the quotes that we've seen so far. Tyler says Really? There's a lot of ads today? Is it extra? Well, maybe they're just trying to throw out a lot of advertisement there. I can change that. Hold on. Should be able to limit those if it's been crazy. Hopefully it dies down a little bit. Sometimes it takes a little bit to kick in, but I can change it here. All right, let's see. Chris says, if Nolan Smith plays to his potential, I can't wait to see healthy year 2. Me too. Right there with you. Danquan says, yeah, Jamie Smith. I forgot, Jamie. We've collabed on, I think, one or two with Jimmy. That dude knows the cap for sure. You say talk some cap. His knowledge of it and understanding and how everything breaks down and all that, he's had multiple. So for sure, reference Jimmy's content and the math wizardry and everything else. Trent, what's up? Says, just joined. Did you say what the replacement will be yet? Sorry if you did. No worries. No, we're just talking about production for Reddick and how that works itself out. It's probably going to be like an aggregate is what I was mentioning. So I would love to see a signing of an Isaiah Simmons. There's been rumor, just a small, links to Philly. We saw it in the past, obviously, with the trade deadline. And I guess even going back to early in the season, not even like right up to the trade deadline, but just early in the season, whenever it was possibly leaving Arizona and getting away from Jonathan Gannon, which I can't blame him there, and then, naturally goes to New York. But I think Isaiah Simmons makes a whole lot of sense. You just get an extra guy, add some more depth, have possibilities there. But you need Bryce Huff to step up in a big way. I think that he can. I do have some confidence, but I think there's still that second guy who needs to kind of help fill the void and really replace some of those sacks in the production there. And hopefully that's Nolan Smith, like Chris had said. He's gonna be healthy. He's at least starting the season healthy. I would love to know, because Nolan said even in the preseason game against the Browns, right, like he injured his shoulder. He said it's just like basically he said to the effect of like it's a normal thing. It's not a big deal. It acts up on him at some points. He's going to be fine. But he had to have surgery at the end of the season. So it was at least something, even if it was minor. And I'm just curious, did that kind of offset a little bit? The coaching was not good. Didn't really have as much of a game plan. So yes, there's a lot of things that go into play. But maybe that slightly limited his usage, and they're saying nope, he's a rookie, he's had some issues, the shoulder gets banged up. I mean, we saw it every time that he made a tackle or a bigger tackle. It felt like, oh, there he goes, he's going off the field again. He's got a stinger or something in that shoulder. So hopefully the surgery took care of it. There's not a lingering effect there. That would be the only concern. But yeah, if he's healthy and he's going to get a lot more snaps, he's got a ton of athleticism, he's in the right system. He will. I'm confident in it that he will play much better, and there's not really much better place for his talents to learn from Fangio, to really just learn on knowledge in general, but just to be ingrained in the game and show up every single day. So I hope so. Devin, what's up? Yeah, I try to read the comments if I can, and sometimes I miss them, so I appreciate you commenting. I may not have gotten it to on one of the other videos, but you said, wrote a post predicting Jalen Hurts is playing his last year as an Eagle if the season of failure, no less than Super Bowl. What do you think? Wow, that's I appreciate the comment. That to me is a little bit far-fetched. I think there's some pressure on Jalen, but no less than Super Bowl. That is putting a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts. I mean, if he makes playoffs, I almost said it in the Mora voice, but not quite. If he makes playoffs, then he's going to, I think that's really more, even if he doesn't make he's going to get another year. I know you have Kenny Pickett, and there's, whatever happened. There could be some drama, as there is, normally. But, like, the first thing that happens in my mind is, okay, Nick Sirianni's gone. You don't make playoffs, Sirianni's gone. Honestly, if you make playoffs and you don't do anything, you could still see Sirianni possibly gone. But if you don't make playoffs, then yeah. But, I mean, Hurts he's sticking around. You're giving him another season. Heck, especially if he makes playoffs and then he goes and let's say he wins one playoff game or even gets to the NFC Championship game. Maybe that is just one playoff game, but whatever. Like, gets to a further point in the playoffs. He's your guy. Like, I don't think that it just one season of, oh man, we didn't make it to the Super Bowl totally ruins it and says, all right, this is not going to work. Like, you're gone. You're not a guy. We're going to try maybe Kenny Pickett or Tanner McKee or whoever else you want to go after. Maybe there's a draft, target that they want, whatever. But I appreciate the comment. To me, I don't know what it would take really to say Hurts is a complete regression, terrible, terrible play. You lose a lot of games, but even then it's like the first head to roll is going to be Nick Sirianni. And then, you kind of figure out the ramifications from that otherwise, but I believe too much in Jalen. I think that he will be fine. I know that you're saying prediction if they don't make the Super Bowl, so I know that's not necessarily as much saying that's going to happen, but still, that seems a little bit far-fetched. I'm seeing the other comments too. I'm getting to the other ones. So yeah, you're saying watch the clips of receivers waiting for the ball, especially when they're wide open. He does need to make more steps. That's a fair point. But again, let's remember, he had Brian Johnson and or Nick Sirianni, who was more to blame for the offensive scheme, the offensive system. Like, you could see how frustrated Jalen Hurts was on the sideline. You saw it multiple times when he was on the field. I think that his injury was probably affecting him more than he would ever admit, but he's not going to say much about it. That's why he got so frustrated with the media every single time after games saying, hey, how's the knee? How's the knee? How's the knee? It's like, I'm not even going to answer it. He's just done with it. So I understand, but there's other parts of the game. Yeah, struggles with the blitz. Jalen needs to be better, no lie. But they also, game planning wise, did not give him many things to work with, and they also didn't adjust at all. You could see the first drive of games was great. Like, how many games, especially in the latter part of the season, where we sitting there going, hey, you know what, maybe things changed, and then all of a sudden, after the first drive, they resort back to the terribleness that we had seen previously. So I'm not as much concerned. There's not as much concern there because, again, Kellen Moore is going to be drastically different on the offense. He's going to be calling plays way different. Now, he puts a lot of responsibility on Jalen. So, yes, he does need to take that next step. He does need to improve against the blitz. But he's also going to make it easier for Jalen to digest and also to read a blitz and to have a hot route, because a lot of times they didn't even have a hot route called or even an option there. And so I think that you're going to see that progression with Jalen not only recognizing it, but also you have all these pieces in place. And, we haven't even mentioned Saquon Barkley, but like, that is a massive change to what the opposing defense has to scheme against. Like, if you're sitting there, there's no more, oh, hey, we don't need to load the box. Because when Jalen was hurt, Swift was good. But for sure, whenever Swift was not there and Kenny Gainwell's out and Jalen is injured, he's not going to run the football. It made it much easier on defenses. Well, now you got Saquon Barkley. So you say, hey, we want to back off, and you got an empty box. Fantastic. Here's the ball to Saquon. He's going to go get you 5 yards or take it to the house, whatever, and he's going to do really, really well. And then fine, you know what? Hey, the running game's going great. You want to try to emphasize and take away Saquon's game? Move into the box. If it's loaded up, great. Now we're going to pass. Slant route to AJ. Play action. Smitty maybe getting some plays in the slot. I'm telling you, it's going to be drastically different. I'm not trying to just like completely make it, it's going to be unbelievable, incredible, and, no challenges. I think there could be some growing pains, but it'll be way different. I would just say, like, let's hold off on that. I know there's some things not to like from what we saw in Jalen, but it's, to me, it's nowhere close of, hey, if he doesn't make a Super Bowl or doesn't win a Super Bowl, that we're moving on from that. That's far-fetched. That's crazy talk. Frank from Philly, you know what doesn't get talked about much? but I'm high hopes for a speedy recovery is Sidney Brown. Yep, I mean, the dude's a monster. He's a wild bull that's hard to tame. That's true. That's a good way to describe him. He is a wild bull, a bull in a china cabinet, full speed, no slowdown, does not even have an ability really to slow down. But I think that he'll be, you just kind of, it's easier, or I guess better, I should say, to like tone a player back than having to say, hey, we need you to speed up. We need you to play faster and more violently and everything else. He's going to be pretty good. I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, he probably won't be there till October. So William says Huff's going to surprise everyone this year. Again, I hope so. Says true breakout year. Interesting. I mean, he's kind of breakout a little bit. He already had, 10 sacks? Joseph says Cox and Kelsey are playing this year. You're calling it. Okay. Fitness Warrior, what's up? How's it going? Yeah, Chris saying loyalty with Hurts. I mean, $255 million is kind of a decent amount. It would take a lot, yeah, with the no trade clause and trying to move him on to another team. It would take a ton. Fanny says, do we know the status of Jalen's knee injury? I don't know, quite honestly. I haven't seen anything. It's probably fine. If it was really serious, we would have gotten some sort of report, anything. So it might have just been a sprain or a strain or whatever and something middle of the season, but it obviously affected him earlier, and then he ends up, kind of playing through it. But he didn't want to run or chose not to for a long time. And I think we could all see that it was hobbling him for quite a while. And the bye week was great, naturally. I think whenever we saw him come back from there, that was much better. But yeah. Yeah, Devin saying Kenny P didn't come to Philly to back up Hurts. I mean, that's fine. He didn't come here to do it, but he will. He will back up Hurts. Like, Kenny Pickett's not getting in there the starting job. Tracy Ann says Jalen would have to be really terrible to have Howie move on that fast. If they don't want Jalen, they'd have to cut him. Yep, again, no trade clause. Knight Rider. Yeah. Zach McPherson. It's an unusual way to spell it, but yes, Zach McPherson. I think will be good at nickel. What do you think? Like the possibility. I don't know with the Achilles injury, though. I think it's just a big question mark. Anyone coming off of an injury, different, naturally for like a quarterback, but a player like Zach McPherson and the cutting and everything else, he's got the time, I suppose, with the rehab and being able to be ready at that point, but we'll see. I was excited to see what he was going to do last season because, it's like, oh, hey, he played this in college. He's got potential. We see this in him. Made a few, small plays, I guess, in preseason. And then, we saw, unfortunately, the injury with the Achilles. But if he can get back, be healthy, get right, then possibly so. Again, I am seeing a lot of the same types of comments. So, again, you don't need to do like 14 comments. Anish, what's up? Be more careful says get rid of or get Burnt Berry out of here. Fitness Warrior, these diabolical comments are coming from Washington Celio. I cannot believe people really believe what he says. Well, I'm going to talk about a lot of different things, and everybody's got opinions, and I'm not even, mine is for sure not right. Again, they're all opinions, but there's some that are far fetched, and there's some that are others. But welcome it all. We don't have to agree about everything, even for those crazier or more outlandish takes. Anthony Duquesne, I think I said that last part correctly, but thoughts on Zach Baun? I'm excited about Zach. I think Baun could be really good. Howie mentioned basically prefaced or kind of like said in the sense of Andrew Van Ginkel. He didn't come right out like we've talked about a little bit, but didn't come right out and say that he is Andrew Van Ginkel. But reading between the lines and who he was referring to, made a lot of similarities of what Fangio sees and how he expects him to play. So, yeah, that's a possibility there. It'll be interesting. I mean, heck, if he can get him anywhere close to Van Ginkel production, then we're great. Like Haason Reddick not being here, you're going to feel it unless these other guys that are needing to step up and live up to expectations, or maybe even exceed some expectations in that sense. I like the athletes. I like the guys who have the hybrid versatility like Zach Baun does. He's been in coverage. He's rushed the passer. He's been in linebacker spots. He's moved all over the field. So Fangio, I really believe that Fangio said, hey, go get that guy. That's who I want. He reminds me of Andrew Van Ginkel. We couldn't get him because Van Ginkel went to Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. So you say, hey, you know what? That's a great option. Go get me Zach Baun. And I think I do believe he'll be on the field more often than maybe what people expect. If he lives up to the hype and you say he is close to a Van Ginkel, then we're golden. It's fantastic. But I am optimistic. Let's see here. Tyler. Oh, Josh, did you see Ryan Flournoy? Are you moved? Yes, I did. I got to see a little bit of Flournoy, and I will say the immediate takeaway is that I could be persuaded, or maybe I'm slightly persuaded now. So I appreciate you putting Flournoy on my radar. Yes, and for anybody who's not, go look up Ryan Flournoy. I like the physicality that he plays with. I will say that. What was his? Was he like a 4? No, why am I forgetting? I looked up earlier. Is it 4.4 or 4.4? Yeah, 4.44, 40, almost 40 inches vertical. Yeah, I come around on that. Devin, I get that we sign the players to make Super Bowl, but just because you don't make Super Bowl does not mean that you get rid of your franchise quarterback who you believe in. Like, unless, heck, if you did that, every NFL team would be quarterbackless except for the Chiefs, because Patrick Mahomes is the only one that can conceivably continue to do that more often. Like, I understand. Again, it is about winning the Super Bowl, but it's not realistically that always happens, as we know and we've seen. To me, Jalen's not the issue. Like, Jalen is solid enough to win you a Super Bowl. I think that we've seen that enough, but for those that haven't. Nate, does anyone think he was happy last year? He's a hard worker and wants to win. Yep. Oh, bull in a china shop. There you go. Internet junkie more needs to delete all the bubble screens out of the playbook. I would co-sign that. That's fine. Cheesesteak, no live chat for breaking news of Blankenship extension yesterday. Thought it was an April Fool's joke. Yeah, that was one of those that I mean, it's a deal, it's a signing, but it wasn't big enough to go breaking on it, I suppose. At least that's where I felt. So, but good for Reed. Good for Reed. He got his extension. Not the extension that we were hoping for. Smitty is the one that we're still hoping for. I do believe that it'll get done, but again, like we were talking about earlier, for those that were not here, it's not a surprise. I don't think we should be concerned that it's not gotten done. You have plenty of time. James, what's up? Says, I think Huff might struggle big time, and Reddick would have too, since he's slated to play Mike linebacker off ball. I'm worried about Jalen playing outside 2 to set the edge in this new 3-4. Yeah, it is a question because he's going to be asked to do a lot of things that maybe he's not as comfortable with coverage. I don't know. I mean, the same could be said for a lot of players. I personally, I don't know about Sweat, honestly. Like, I'm concerned just as much probably with him in that situation of, like, he's going to be asked to probably draw back in coverage a decent amount. But yeah, I mean, you're going to ask Bryce Huff, who's not played near as many snaps like we were talking about, snap percentage, and go out there and have to get comfortable of, okay, hey, we're going to rush the passer some, but you're going to be dropping back in coverage, utilizing in different areas like Fangio does. So I get it. It is a question. But I don't know. Until we see it, I'm trying to hold off too much on saying, like, okay, that's an area that's going to be a negative or we're going to struggle with, because I got to believe that Howie, at least I'm trying to be optimistic, but I got to believe that Howie and Fangio saw something that they liked enough to say, this makes sense, we go in this direction. To your point, I mean, Reddick may have been terrible at it in the limited times that he was dropping back in coverage. It wasn't great last season. I don't trust Patricia or even Desai as much to try to emphasize, or I guess to integrate that. But yeah, you're gonna have questions there. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. Yeah, like Nate says, who are people actually wanting? If they're wanting to replace Jalen Hurts, are they really wanting Pickett to come in? Anish, what's up? Says, does the fact that Wiggins has 30-inch arms affect your stance on Wiggins? Not really. Maybe it should, and I don't know. This is just, I haven't really bought in as much. Maybe I should, but I haven't really bought in as much on the whole. I don't know, like the measurements, and I'm not saying like at all. I do believe in them to a certain extent, but like there's a lot of other areas in someone's game personally that I feel like that are more important than just the measurables there. I'm sure that there's at least half that probably disagree with that, but yeah, it doesn't knock it too much. Something to consider, though. I mean, it's a fair point you bring up. Devils, and I think I saw a couple other people saying this too, but what are we going to do about Bradley Roby? I think he's gone. I think, you see what team goes out and gets him, or if no team signs him, maybe he's a depth add if somebody loses a player in preseason or in training camp, or you need to bring in an extra body. But I don't know. It feels like he probably won't be coming back. They'd have to get a deal done. I mean, yeah, Roby's not here, but they'd have to get a deal done to bring him back. Personally, I know he was okay for a little bit, and who knows how he would have played if you had an actual defensive coordinator, but I'm sorry. You go back and look at some of the tape and probably what you guys just remember, but he missed a decent amount of tackles when he was on the field, and his attempts at those were appalling. It was not good. So I think I'm out on him for bringing him back, a slot corner. Isaiah Rodgers is a good option. You might possibly draft a player, but there's other guys that I would go with. You got some some extra depth that you could, again, either draft or you could sign a potential guy, but he's not the one for me. Trent, appreciate that. From Lancaster, Pennsylvania. There you go. Means a lot. I do appreciate all the support from everybody. Jalen Pope, if you watched tape on Peyton Wilson, dude is a dog. I think we need to draft him day 2. He is. I won't lie. I have watched him. I think I'm out on Peyton Wilson. I'm not totally, because if it falls in the right position and we get Peyton Wilson, yes, I will be like, oh, great. Yes, we have a linebacker. He's got potential and all this other stuff. But for me, Edgerrin Cooper is my first choice. If I get to pick who I want linebacker, Edgerrin Cooper is the guy. There is not a question in my mind. You go with Edgerrin Cooper. If he goes off the board, the next one for me is Junior Colson. I think what this team needs and the fits for this defense, it's Edgerrin Cooper and then it's Junior Colson. Peyton Wilson has ability. There's a lot to like. For me, the injury concerns, maybe it's a moot point and he has a great career. I hope that he does. I hope that everyone stays healthy, but I hope he has a fantastic career and there's no injuries. But the previous injury concerns that he's dealt with, it just makes me wonder and question, and it makes me just not list him up there near as high. There's other options that I would prefer to go get over him. So we'll see. But yes, I've watched him. I think that he's very impressive. He's got a lot to like. I just can't quite put him up there as high as some of the others. Stephen K says, assuming no draft pick trades, what would you guess the first 3 picks by position? I would say offensive tackle, defensive end, and cornerback. Yeah, I guess first off, that's incredibly unrealistic, knowing Howie. But yes, I understand your question. If there's no trades, probably I'm with you on offensive tackle for the first. Then I might say, I think offensive tackle and then something in the trenches, so probably defensive end. I don't mind that necessarily. It could be one or the other because it's like so close together with those picks of 50 and 53. And then the other one I might say, you need so much on the defense, but I just keep coming back to, like, it wouldn't surprise me if Howie's like, nope, let's double up. Let's get someone in the offense. So I could see him. I could see him surprising and saying, like, even if he goes with a guard. Granted, I guess if you get your tackle who can be versatile, then you're okay. But yeah, maybe I would say offensive tackle, edge, and then linebacker, or linebacker and then edge. That's also kind of my hope, except for corner. I would go corner in the first round, as everybody knows. I'm awake or you says Huff is a nightmare in a good way. I hope so. I do believe in him somewhat. I will say that again. Heck, he's Agent Zero. He's the new Agent Zero. So if anybody bought a AndreSwift jersey, you turn it into a Bryce Huff. You get the nameplate and swap it out. Let's see. Got a super chat here. James, appreciate it, man. Got the 5. Says Sweat is also iffy and will, or Jack linebacker, if and only if Fangio runs a 3-4. 3-4 tight like Georgia, which should excite you for Nolan. That's what he played at Georgia. Yep, that's a fantastic point. Again, there's so many reasons to get excited about Nolan Smith, which is what this channel was called for a long time, and maybe has continued to be. But it was I was accused of a Nolan Smith Stan account and a number of other titles about hyping up Nolan Smith and some other interesting questions that I got asked. But there's a lot to like about what Fangio most likely will run or try to utilize the talent. I mean, heck, we know we've got so many Georgia players, but they're comfortable or familiar with a certain scheme, so it makes a lot of sense if they go that direction. And yeah, Nolan would be more comfortable in that. We'll see. I'm hopeful, again, with a lot of the players, but just like the others that you mentioned, excuse me, Josh Sweat, I if I'm looking at coverage, I get more concerned. Really, I do. I get more concerned about Josh Sweat than I would have with a Haason Reddick. I don't know. Bryce Huff has not done it as much because he just doesn't play those snaps. But just looking at the player and how they move and the fluidity out there, I probably get the most concerned with Sweat. But appreciate the 5, and yes, I'm totally with you as far as the excitement for Nolan Smith. Yeah, people saying Huff already had a breakout year. Chris, appreciate it. Trent asking about Sidney Brown's injury. No, don't really know anything other than, obviously tore his ACL. He's rehabbing. Reed Blankenship said that he was spending some time with him or whatever. I guess they were in the building. But yeah, he's getting better. The general consensus from what I've seen is that it's October. That continues to be where we're at. What Eagle moment do you think was better, the Philly special play or D-Jack's punt return for a game winner? It's probably obvious based on the name of this show. Although D-Jack's punt return was awesome, not gonna lie. Let's not discredit that. But one is in the Super Bowl, iconic. There's a statue out there of Foles and Dougie P. So it's too iconic. That's a given. Fitness Warrior, do I think that Vic Fangio has a lot of say in the draft? Yeah, I definitely do. I think that we can already read in between the lines, in my opinion. We can read in between the lines for free agency. Heck, I guess Howie did talk about it a little bit in the press conferences, but just look at the acquisitions that they're making, and it's been a little bit of a shift. And you say, hey, we're going to get some of these playmakers that Fangio prefers, the type of individual, the athletic, bigger guys who can kind of utilize in both the coverage and also pass rush. So for sure, I think that he'll be heavily involved, more so than Sean Desai, more so than, well, I don't know. Patricia was not really the DC then, but yes, more so than the coordinators in the past because a number of reasons, but Fangio's been here for forever. He knows the type of player that he wants, that he needs. I do think that's why also, again, we've mentioned a number of times that the top 30 visits mean a ton because those are the individuals that you're getting the most information on. You can take your doctors and look at them. I think if Frank asked the question about Cooper DeJean getting cleared today, if that's any concern. Not really, because he's got his pro day coming up. You'll get a great look at him. He's also had or having the top 30 visit with Philly. So the doctors will, they'll do all their due diligence and make sure that he's good and cleared. So if you actually do take him, there shouldn't be concerns. But yeah, you're going to see some difference there. And Fangio will have a ton of say. He's going to get the guys that he wants. Marshawn Nealand, going to be in for a top 30 visit. Chop Robinson already has. So I think there's a specific individual that he's looking for. Tyler says, get Isaiah Simmons for a year, then skip linebacker in this draft and get Abdul Carter the next year. He is the agenda we will be pushing. I would be all for both of those options. That's fine. I know I've said Edgerrin Cooper a ton, but yeah, if you want to, Abdul Carter will certainly be, that's an automatic. If you got Isaiah Simmons, I could be sitting there saying, we're all right. We can hesitate for a little bit. Or we don't need to. You go draft somewhere else. Yeah, I am seeing. I know the Huff breakout year that he kind of already had. Frank from Philly. At least everyone on our team are very good players except for Trashberry. Internet Junkie asked the question, Marcus Smith, Barnett, last 2 first-round edge rushers. Do we really trust Howie with that? That is an interesting fact that I saw. That I think that Howie was listed on, was it PFF? Who did that? Let's see. I think it was PFF. Oh. Well, the screen share is not working for me. I don't know why this always messes up like this, but let's see. Maybe I can pull it up here. There we go. Yeah, it was the 2024 best worst NFL teams at drafting in the first round since 2014, so the last 10 years. And the Eagles were on the worst category. Where is it? There you go. And it's interesting because it's the Eagles were the toughest team put on this list, in part because their drafting overall has been very good, and also because they look to be rescuing things with their drafts over the past few years. But specifically focusing on first round selections over the past decade, they have made some errors, and then naturally they're going to bring up the ones we don't necessarily want to look at or remember. But there's Jalen Reagor, Wentz, which. You say whatever you want to about that one. That I don't know if that one's as much of a failure, certainly the way that it started. But then Derek Barnett, Andre Dillard surpassed by other players on the roster. But yeah, it's interesting. They list the Eagles with what? 4 or 5? Yeah, 5 teams. They're in the top 5, or I guess bottom 5 if we want to look at the list for the worst drafting teams since 2014. I don't know that I'm buying that necessarily, but I don't know. It's again, it's first round. It's for the first round, so hasn't had the best track record, but the Cowboys are on there for the best. Cowboys, Texans, Colts, Chiefs, and Bills. That's the top 5 best teams drafting in the first round. Interesting. Very interesting. Anish says, how you've been a little quiet lately. Feels like a trade is in the works. Maybe so. Frank, I see the comment. I'm later getting to it, but come to the conclusion, even though you're in Dallas, I'll still watch your cast in honor of Easter, and much like how our Savior brought the good news to the Gentiles. That's pretty. I appreciate the support. That is the first time I've heard anything like that of a comparison. But all right, I appreciate it. Thanks, Frank. He is risen. There you go. Yeah, that's the other comments too. Be more careful. Julian Blackmon went back to Indy. Yes, that's a good point. I forgot to mention that earlier. But in terms of safety, there was the kind of talk of, hey, Julian Blackmon may be a possibility for the Eagles if they're not going to go Justin Simmons. So he's officially off the board. You can cross that one off. Williams says didn't want Blackmon anyway. Simmons on a 1-year deal to leave the roster spot open for Brown. That's where I'm at. I like it. You can have him, to your point, for 1 year. Sydney doesn't have to rush back. You let him heal up, rehab, good to go. And then he takes over after that year. Travis says, questions on center, right guard, and Lane's replacement. Number one need is lineman. I could see how you'd need a lineman. I'm fine with that, and that's where I've been leaning towards preparing myself that the first round 22 is probably going to be O-line. I disagree on the sense of center. You know, I think that you're fine. I know it's not proven, so we can't say, oh, we've seen it from Juergens because he's been right guard. He's going to have to slide over and take over for Kelsey. But personally, I think center's fine. Right guard, yep, I'll totally agree with you. I don't know that we're settled there. You do need to have a replacement and, or I guess a fill-in or a starter, period. But you also need to have the replacement for Lane. So, yeah, I get it. It does make a lot of sense, especially at 22, doing the mock draft, seeing who's available. Could be a Tyler guy. Maybe you trade up a little bit. Fatanu has shown up on a couple draft boards. There's the visit that Stoutland is enamored, apparently, with him. And you like the versatility with him as well. So, yeah, I do agree in the sense of you need an offensive lineman. I don't know if it's as much in terms of that center spot. We could disagree about with that. I know there's some people that do feel like we do, but yeah. Dan the Man asks, what are your thoughts on us trading for Josh Allen from the Jags to replace Reddick? This explains why we traded Reddick instead of waiting for a comp pick. It'd be crazy. It would be not realistic. I don't know how he made his decision. I know that there's like a potential for guys, but you're not trading for anyone else, in my opinion. Like if you're gonna solve this, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say it's like a problem. So I shouldn't say solve this problem. But if you're going to have an answer for the production, like we've been talking about, it's the guys on the roster or it's a free agent that you go out and sign. And so it's, in my mind, Isaiah Simmons is that guy. You go get him, you bolster this defense, you add another potential playmaker, a lot of athleticism, a ton of upside, a guy who's shown that he can play really well if he's in the right spot, in the right system, utilized correctly. And not a better, in my opinion, not a better guy to put him under than a Vic Fangio to say, hey, this guy can do everything, anything and everything you want him to do. He's played as safety. He's played as a linebacker. He can be hybrid all over the field. He's rushed the passer. Like, he can do a ton. So you get him here, you answer a lot of questions, and you add even more depth. That's where I would feel like, there's lots about Josh Allen. Sure, great player. You look at a trade, but it's not realistic. They're not going out there and making any other big trades. In my mind, I could be wrong. I will gladly say that I'm wrong if we have something like that happen. But to me, it feels like it's a lot more of a Howie expectations and what he does. You're going to solve problems, or you're going to fill other holes, or add extra depth from a free agent signing or through the draft. Justin Simmons is still out there. Isaiah Simmons, both the Simmonses are out there. Maybe, hopefully, you get both. At least you could get one. And we'll see. It's still taking time. So, like we said a number of different times, that's positive. That's positive for certainly Justin Simmons because his value or his market continues to dwindle with each passing day. But who knows? Be more careful, says Justin Simmons is like a no-go. Reed and CJ are the starting safeties. They tried to use Reed as CJ's replacement, but he is more of what Epps did. In that spot, he's better. Yeah. It seems a little bit less likely. There's still some hope in my mind, but I do understand it. Yeah, you extended Reed Blankenship, and you've obviously already paid CJ. So you're kind of hoping to just, or you're thinking that it's just like, hey, we'll just wait. We don't need to go get a safety. But Isaiah Simmons makes a ton of sense. I will say that. Dennis Designs, GJ is back. Hallelujah. I'm with you. I can buy that. Yes. Thankfully, he is back. Philly Eagles fan, will we even make the playoffs? Yes, we will make the playoffs. That's not a... I'm confident. Oh, Dan says Philly 500 was talking about Josh Allen. I'm just in a dream world. Okay. Jordan, appreciate you hanging out. Yeah. No, I don't mind the possibility, the hypotheticals. I guess I try to be as, I don't know, even kill or realistic as I can. I've been known to get off on, like a very optimistic hype train of we're going to go trade for somebody or sign someone or draft somebody. I'm not naming any specific names, but some people may know of who I'm referencing. But yeah, it's, you're not getting. I agree with Anish. Trent says the same. Travis, no diss on Juergens. It's just he needs more years under his belt. Like Kelsey grew over the years. We got to win now, or big pay stars going to need to go soon. Yeah, I get it. I mean, Juergens needs to get more snaps, and you're going to want to see it. We all want to see it, but reserving the right for judgment there, it makes sense. I just personally, maybe I end up having a terrible cold hard take on this, but it's like I believe in Juergens, and I really don't have a whole lot of concern at all. I think he's gonna be fine. Yeah, Kubici says he's just losing value at this point. Kubici's 13 to 14 wins. I love the confidence. Again, I continue to be a little more conservative with that, but I can appreciate the optimism. Rodgers in the slot, Ringo outside. Yep, I could do that. They do like him. We still need another corner in my mind, but if you have those as a potential, I believe that Ringo will compete for a starting job. Depends on who they draft, if he's, the favorite there, or if it's just going to be like, all right, hey, maybe he gets his chances, maybe not. But he's got a lot of potential. Trent still hanging on to hope that we might get Simmons, but his value is going way down. It's taken him a while. So there's a possibility. All right, going to go a couple more minutes here and then going to hop off and help the wife with the kiddos and everything because she has been a rock star MVP like she usually is. So she does need a break, but we'll answer a couple more questions and then I'm going to hop off. Reminder, the Friday night hangout, it's a maybe. It might be a little earlier. It might be like a Friday afternoon happy hour hangout, but we'll do a mock draft then. So stay tuned for people that want to do mock draft. We'll do it Friday. Kubici, I can see us trading JB and Ringo getting the start. It'd be interesting if somebody's willing to trade for JB. I don't know that I necessarily agree just because he doesn't have the best tape recently. So I'm not sure what teams are willing to offer or even consider for JB. But even if JB's here, that's where I say I think Ringo could very much compete for the spot. Oh, also Tyler mentioned too, the O-line. Yeah, people forget. When Juergens got hurt, Tyler Steen had to come in. Not as great. And still, right guard's not his spot. That's fine. But he was drafted to be a center. Kelsey saw a ton in him. So did Stout. They've all been working with him. He's gotten snaps in training camp, in practices, things like that. So I think it'll be all right. Philly Eagles fan says that the offense starts to slow or struggles. We're not in a good way. Yeah, you're relying on this offense to carry. The offense will carry much more than the defense. I think we're all in agreement with that. Internet Junkie believes one of the Simmons will end up here, whether it's Isaiah or Justin. Yep, Trent, I talked about it a little bit earlier, but I'm with you as far as Smitty. Not really concerned. There's still time. They were addressing Haas and everybody else too, so I think they'll be all right. May get done here in a couple weeks. That also wouldn't surprise me if they do get something done sooner rather than later, just based on the compensation, getting it out in front of everything. But yeah, I'm in agreement too. It's like I haven't seen a ton of freak out or just like, oh my gosh, hey, are there major concerns because Smitty's not done yet? But there have been a few comments. But yeah, I'm not there. It's not a huge deal. Kevin Carey, appreciate it. Hope all has been well. Wanted to say thanks for always putting up fantastic content. That means a lot. You got it. Appreciate you guys, really. All the support, all the likes, all the sharing, comments, everything else. Again, we don't always agree, and that's perfectly fine. We have different takes and everything else, but appreciate the support. Anish, that's actually a good name. I didn't think about that. That's great. Yes. We'll call it the mock draft under the influence. Yeah. No driving for anybody if you're listening to it, or just no drinking. But yeah, Friday afternoon, chat from happy hour, mock draft under the influence. That'd be a great title. I should just title the video that and just roll with it. No, okay, maybe I better make sure people understood. There was a little sarcasm in my comment. I agree the offense is going to carry the team, but I'm not meaning it like in the sense of, yeah, Fitness Warrior Josh is our defense that bad. People make it seem like we don't have NFL players on our team. That's fair, yes. And I think that the recency bias is saying that we saw such terrible play and we've added some personnel, but we've lost some personnel. And the question would be, have we added enough personnel to say this team's going to be drastically different? But you have the coaching, you have the right scheme in play, and it's going to be similar, but it's the right coaching, and you're going to have the guys who are buying into it. So, yes, we will be okay. We will be, in my opinion, we'll be perfectly fine. I just don't say, or I wouldn't go out there right now and be like, yeah, the defense is going to win us a ton of games just based on the defense's play and all this other stuff. It's going to be offense needs to score. Offense has to be really productive. And the defense is, just limiting points. It's bend but don't break. It's Fangio's system. So, yeah, I'm not. I didn't mean that in the sense of like we have no defense at all and we're totally doomed. But yeah, John, appreciate it. That is very much says thanks, Josh. The best way to draft is under the influence, as Tracy Ann said. Maybe so. It gets a little interesting because then the trades come into play and you do unorthodox things in the draft, and next thing you know, you end up with some players that you're like, wow, that's not sure I would have taken them, but it's Friday, happy hour, might as well. Yes, Matthew said Colts re-signed Blackman. We talked about him a little bit earlier, but yes. Brian, forget about the players. What about the rules? It is. It does make it more difficult, yeah, to be on the defensive side of the ball. That's for sure. Anish, thank your wife for us. She let you hang out with us. I absolutely will, and she again has been a MVP. It continues to be so. She is the best. She knows that, but I will let you know or let her know from you guys. Appreciate all the support. Um, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna end it now so that I can go help out and everything else as well. But as always, you guys are the best. Appreciate the support. Like I always say, if you have not, please hit the like button. Helps out the channel. Subscribe if you're not already. And lots more videos, content. We got the Wednesday link tomorrow, and should be probably 7:30 p.m. Eastern, most likely, kind of the normal time, but just as a reminder. And then also Friday, we'll do a Friday mock draft under the influence. That's what we're officially calling it, so it works. But we'll see you guys. Appreciate it. Until next time, go Birds.